Let's talk about Euphoria Season 3, Episode 1. This is one of those shows that I think has definitely seen its stars really transcend into something else. Like, a lot of them are doing some pretty amazing stuff. And it's interesting to see where we are now as we have a time jump from season 2. So we're going to discuss what happened in this episode. Where are we going? We'll also have a theory video coming out tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. That's where we're going to discuss what do we think is going to be happening here. But pretty much where we leave off here is just seeing that Rue, after all that has happened in season 2, cannot escape what she owes Lori. And Rue, we see, is now doing this like drug mule like vibe here where she needs to be pretty much helping Lori to recover the money that she lost from her. And so that was about $10,000 as Rue says, but Lori says after interest and it's been years and all of that, you actually owe me like $1 million, like $4 million actually, or 47 million, I forgot, but it's like huge number, millions of dollars. And Rue's like, what the fuck? But Lori says, I'll settle for 100,000. So we see that Rue has been using herself as a drug mule for Lori in order to repay this debt to her, even with Faye along to ride with her. And she's just there. She's there. But of course, Rue doesn't want to do this. She's also Ubering and all of them. She's still meeting up with Ali. She's thinking about picking up Christianity. This is because earlier in the season, she had actually met up with a Christian family. And she's pretty much like, this could be it. This could be my like final resting moment. If I become a Christian, maybe I would have been a better person, all of that. And yeah, it's an interesting one. And the episode also had some diarrhea and all these other things. And I'm just wondering, yeah, I don't know where to go from here with Euphoria, right? But I will say they still stick the landing on a lot of things. I think that the cinematography is great. I think that the acting is phenomenal as well. All of these actors have definitely grown over the years and they've gone on to do better, bigger projects. And I think that that clearly is showing, of course, with Nate Jacobs here, who is played by Jacob Elordi. Now he is getting married to Sydney Sweeney's character of Cassie. And we see that there is a lot of weird things going on between the two because Nate's trying to do his father's work in construction and all of that, the biz. He's not really there able to pull off business moves like his father. So he has to kind of sort of pretend, but he's trying, right? We see that Cassie, on the other hand, isn't really wanting her wedding to be, as she says, quote unquote, ghetto, which we'll talk about that in another instance. So she wants to be able to buy those flower arrangements that she really wants, but she doesn't think that Nate is going to allow it. So she's decided now to pick up OnlyFans. We see her dress up as a doggy. In the preview they show, she's going to dress up like a baby. It's going to get crazy. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But she decides to do that. Although Nate is opposed to it at first, he eventually is like, you know what? As long as you're not showing your face and all of that, whatever, let's do what you want to do. So there's that. The other Howard sister, Lexi, is in Hollywood living her dream. She hasn't talked to Fez, which is kind of a bummer there. So yes, Angus Cloud tragically passed away a couple of years ago, but they decided to keep Fez alive here. He is serving a 30-year sentence. So there's that right there. But Lexi's not really talking to him, even though Rue's like, you can just pick up a phone, call him. It's not like he's going anywhere, right? Decides not to. She also does have a crush on this heartthrob for this show she's working on. So Lexi's life seems to be not as perfect as she made it seem to Rue, right? But I guess we'll see more as we get into the season. We see that Maddie is now doing management. She is managing the heartthrob that Lexi likes, but she's not happy there. She really wants to do something more and go for bigger aspirations, although that's going to become her becoming a manager for Cassie, it seems, later in the season, as we see that she comes up to her with a proposal. Now, Rue is still doing all of these drug runs for Lori. She needs to repay her. And on the final drug run of the episode, we see that she goes to this big buyer, Alamo, who also is like a pimp. And he also has a strip clubs throughout. And he's pretty much like, yeah, I got a lot of things I sell here. So Rue, get the fuck out of here. But Rue is like, no. I want to be in the biz with you. You said it yourself. Anybody can reinvent themselves in America. Let me work for you. I can do some good in the club. And he's kind of like liking Rue at a point here, but the drugs that Rue actually delivered to Alamo, we find out were laced with fentanyl, killing one of the people that works for Alamo, and Alamo's just had it at this point. Thinks Rue set him up alongside with Lori, and we see that he pretty much is going to kill Rue until she says that she feels like God brought them together and that she has faith that this was a thing that happened because of gauze. So he puts it up to the test. Apple on her head, he's going to shoot it. If she doesn't die, then God did this. If she does, then God did this. And he does. He's able to shoot it, and the apple is completely destroyed, and Rue is intact. Really love Bishop. Bishop's a new character here. He's just like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? But really, really interesting character. And we've seen from the previews, he's going to get more interesting. So I thought that this was really well set up. We still haven't really dived into Jules. We heard a little bit about her, that she's working as a sugar baby and all of that. We see in the preview that they are going to meet again, her and Rue. I feel like the next episode's going to be very heavy Jules centered, and it's going to be like a little bit of the other characters as we've seen in this episode that was very Rue centered, and eventually see them come together. And it's going to get crazy. This season's going to be insane. Alamo, and Lori are not going to be happy with Rue, and I think Rue's just going to be caught in the crosshairs. Right now, Alamo is pissed at Lori because he feels that Lori sent these drugs in order to disrupt his business, and it's not going to look good for Lori, I feel. Now Rue's in the middle of it all. So I think in this next episode, we are going to really focus on Jules. The whole Euphoria show really is always at its core about Jules and about Rue, and I think that this is definitely a great way to see the episodes be divided. So we're gonna see a little bit of Rue, a little bit of Jules. The next episode is called America My Dream, and I think that maybe this is why we're going to see where Jules and Rue are at this point in their lives, and I'm very curious to see how that's going to be resolved. Now, I do think that this feels very different from the other seasons of Euphoria. I think that they are definitely trying out some new things. I feel like it's really more about story now than it is about feels, vibes, and feelings, because that's how I really interpreted the first two seasons. It was very feeling centric, and just the vibes that were going on and how these characters were acting with one another more. So here it feels like it's getting into a crime thriller of sorts, which season 2, I would say the third act of season 2 felt like that, and this feels more like an extension of it. And some people do like that. I know some people like the vibes more and all of that. Curious to know, what do you think? Where do you think Euphoria is going right now, and are you okay with it? Because I'm good with it. I'm excited to see how they want to develop this. I've seen the reviews that have come out. They're not so great, but for the most part, I thought episode 1 was pretty good. I love Colman Domingo as a lead, even though he wasn't as present, and I think that what they're trying to do with all of these characters should be interesting if they're able to pull it off, because they're in very different spots and it's all culminating together. It doesn't look good for any of them, however, from the preview that we got, which I'll talk about in my other video I'll do tomorrow, where I'm going to break down that preview for you and discuss every little scene that's in there. But just wanted to discuss the first episode. I don't think that Alamo really is going to be Rue's best interest. I think she should have gotten out of there as quickly as possible before she got caught up in all of this, because now Alamo's going to hold this against her, and I just don't know how she's able to run. She has apparently visited her sister, so she says to Lexi. So, Rue's in a very interesting predicament. She still owes a pretty good amount of money, according to her, to Lori. So I don't know how she's going to be able to just get out of Lori's crosshair and just go work with Alamo, if Lori's going to really take that as okay, it's cool, Lori doesn't seem to play. And then with Cassie and Nate, it seems that Nate's gonna get caught up in some very bad activities with some very bad people, and it's not gonna look good for him, especially for his wedding, which we're gonna see all of them attend, it seems, and we'll see what happens. But I thought that this first episode was great. It was very interesting to see how all of these characters have sort of gone on from high school, and how they're still not pretty much happy, any of them either, although they maybe try to put that front. Even Lexi, who seemed to be the most put together, still going through some stuff. So we'll see what happens in the next episode. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Tomorrow we'll talk about the preview that was played at the end of the episode for the whole season, and talk about theories of what's to come. The next episode is going to be called America My Dream, and that will be out April 19th, so we'll discuss that then. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Follow for more things you love about Euphoria, and we will have some more videos for you, so stay tuned. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.